Hello everyone, this is Foreign Monks and this is my first commentary back after Reflex GT8. I managed to place second with the Falco Dragons lineup, which was me, Excellence, T1 and Torres. We lost to Apex in the grand final, but I'd say we did well in succeeding our expectations and our seed and basically everyone's sort of perception of how well we'd do. We managed to beat Western Bulls twice on the way, Epsilon and PMP, who were basically the big momentum team of the event. I mean, they were so practiced at S&D. I can't even describe. Like, me and Toby were talking about this at the event, and the way they played Arcaden was like just unbelievable. It's like synchronized stuns when you're defending B. Sorry, and they knew some crazy stuff. Like on Arcaden, for example, they'd run the flag up top, kill themselves, and then get the flag on the other side of the wall. Like, so they'd purposely drop the flag close to the wall so someone on the top glitch part could then get it and run it in. And it was just like, what? How did you do this? And how did they find it, for that matter? But they obviously were really well practiced, and as a result, that's why they did so well against top teams. And we saw them knock out like teams like Link and Epsilon in the winner bracket. So they fulfilled every expectation in that sense. And I'd say beating them in the sense that we did was a real big momentum changer in how our tournament was going, because if any of you saw the conditions in which we won, it was such a close game. I can't even describe how close it was, because there was like points where we were like one death away from losing the game, or on the CTF we were literally like about 10 meters away from losing, for example. And we had to win by overtime and just clutches by F1 and like just sneaky flag pulls, and it just turned out to be such a crazy game. But then after that we played Mythics. Now, if any of you saw the event, I'm sure you'll be aware that we lost to Mythics 3-0. Now I can't really go into why we lost this. It just sort of fell apart a little bit, and we just didn't have much momentum and much energy going into the game. And I don't think we were really settled in as a team, like at the event, and that sort of gave credit to Mythics a little bit, because obviously there were pickups and they had no pressure, like all individual pickups, sorry. And I'd say the way they played was so aggressive that it just sort of completely threw us off guard. Where we were sort of going for the more methodical, controlled approach, where it just collapsed, and obviously as a result they punished us for it. But then after that we went into the middle bracket and played PMP. Now I've just spoken about them, and this was like probably one of the best games I've played on LAN, to be honest. Like up there with I always like consider ECL 2 against Mythics one of my best games, where we lost 3-2, and I'd probably consider the Fnatic ECL 3-1 one of my best as well, in terms of playing and how good, like close the game was and how entertaining it was to play. But I'd say this is another one of them where it just went straight down to the wire, and we managed to scrape a win in 3-2 here, and then went on to the next round against Epsilon. Sorry, I genuinely thought we were going to get battered here, having seen how they played against some other teams. And they sort of picked up they found their form a little bit for this game. So we were like, alright, don't think this is like going to be like, don't overestimate how well we're going to do here. I sort of thought in my head. But then like the first map came and it just sort of went downhill, like uphill, sorry. No, I don't know, I don't even know what like sort of the phrase is for it sort of going easier as it got along. But I'd say at individual points, people stepped up like massively. I'm sure, like if you look at the leaderboards, for example, off the top of my head, I remember the first map in terms of slaying, it was like me, and then Excellence went absolutely huge in the S&D. Like me and Torres won like 1 kill, like if I remember rightly. And then on the bootleg, I'm a T1 out shooting them for like literally 2 minutes, and after that, Torres just completely wiped the floor with the left-hand side, and they couldn't do anything on that map. But yeah, that sort of set the tone of how we're going to play for the rest of the event. And then we came up against Western Wolves. Now, I've got a massive history of playing Toby and Mac at LAN. Like, I've never beaten them at LAN before. So this was like kind of a big deal. And obviously, I've teamed with Black and Daredevil in the past. So I sort of like knew how they were going to play a little bit. And I sort of really wanted to win this game. Like, not just because we wanted to go on to the next round, but it sort of meant a lot more than like the majority of other games we played, because like every person in their team, like sort of trying to beat them just meant something more than just like another team. For example, like PMP, where they were just sort of, they came to the event, I knew nothing about them, whereas like this was kind of a big deal. And I remember the first map, and it just sort of it felt we were in control Sorry, we were in control, and then it sort of went a bit downhill on the third and fourth map, sorry, where we completely let one of the S&D slip, and the CTF, I believe, which is like a really scrappy match, which just had absolutely no control in it, and we just thought, right, this isn't like in our ability. And if I remember rightly, the last map was Dome CTF, which we were so confident at, and I'm not even sure if we were genuinely that good at it where we just wouldn't lose it, but like we were undefeated on that map throughout the whole tournament, and I'm not quite sure why, but it just sort of seemed that because we, like psychologically, because we knew that we were good at that map, it sort of boosted us all up into how we were playing, and as a result we could just sort of deal with everything they threw at us because we sort of read it before, like read what they were going to do before and how they were going to play, because we've seen all the other CTFs. And obviously we were on a high knowing that this was like the best map we could possibly have. So like, then we just sort of steamrolled that a little bit, and then we went on to the next round, which we played them again because they had to beat Epsilon, which was quite a big shock to me, to be honest, how easily they did it. So we thought they've got a bit more like wind in their sails, a bit more momentum. So we thought, you never know, they could actually come back here. And then the first two maps came, and we just sort of carried on from the first two maps of the previous series and just completely kept up all the momentum we had. And I'd say after that we got a little bit complacent, and we dropped a few maps on S&D, I think it was Carbon, and CTF on, I think I'm in lockdown. But it ended up coming down to, oh no, it was Bootleg, sorry, where it was like a stalemate for like a good 2 minutes, and that was just a horrible game to play. But we ended up closing the game out, having an extended series, and obviously having the 3-2 lead from the previous one. But that was like probably one of the highlights of like me playing at events so far, because obviously I've lost to Mac and Toby every single event up till then, and having like teamed with Daredevil and Black in the past, it sort of meant a big deal playing against them more so than other teams. But then we went on to play Apex, and they just completely whitewashed the event. I mean, they hadn't dropped a map, and I thought they were going to have a perfect tournament coming up against us. And particularly with the 2-0 advantage, I thought it was deserved of them to have some form of advantage. There's no question in that. They won the winner bracket without dropping a map. If anything, they probably deserve more of an advantage in the manner they did it. But I think the way that it worked in terms of like just having a best of 9, it just meant that it was almost impossible for us to get back into it. And I mean, like that's not an excuse for not winning maps, because like you should still be like performing to your best regardless of like what chances you've got. But it just like psychologically it completely puts you down, because you know, even if you take the next 2 maps for example, you're sort of at square one a little bit. And I'd say what Reflex needs to do in the future, sorry, is the MLG sort of system of the best of 5 like double series. Like if the team in the winner bracket like wins one best of 5, they win. But if the loser bracket team, which was us, like the lower bracket team, if they win the first best of 5 series, so it's like 2 best of 5 series, if they win the first one, then it goes on to a new fresh one, like a fresh start, like completely wipe the slate with slate clean, so to speak, with the past scores, because it sort of opens up an opportunity for a lot more tense final, and it'd make it a lot more interesting to play as well, because there were so many maps where we just sort of felt, right, we're going to win the CTF, and then we're going to lose the S&D. And eventually we were obviously going to lose the CTF because we're never going to be that consistent. And I was sort of hoping that they'd lose an S&D, but it just didn't seem to happen the way they were playing and how well they were performing. But then obviously as a result we ended up losing 5-2 overall. But in terms of maps played, it was like we only played 5 maps, and we obviously lost 3 and won 2, which I thought was actually pretty good, like considering how well they completely trashed the rest of the teams at the event. To say like if that was just an ordinary game, they would have won 3-2 and we would have took them to last map, so to speak. And like I'd say that was definitely quite a good achievement. But obviously now I've got my second place placement at Reflex. Sorry, first one was at Reflex 5 with Frag Season, then Reflex 6 with Foreign, and now Reflex 8 with Furico. So I sort of have a bit of a curse. Nave calls it the Marine King Prime curse. For if any of you watch StarCraft or know anything about StarCraft, you know that until the winter qualifiers earlier this year, he was like continuously coming second, and now I'm starting to get that a little bit. And it's always Apex, because obviously they're winning reflexes like I say, just easy. Like yeah. And I think for like I'm not really sure like what every time I sort of go to reflexes, it ends up like a last minute thing or a pickup team. So I think next time I'm gonna like completely try and practice. I say this every time, but I think this time it's gonna be different because hopefully we'll go practice, and as a result be able to take the event. Fingers crossed, and improve on sort of the series that we played with Apex, and hopefully take more maps than they did in the earlier stages instead of like letting them win the earlier maps in like the winner bracket, or playing them or staying in the winner bracket. Sorry, because I think reflex like the tournament emphasizes how important it is to stay in the winner bracket. But I'm gonna wrap this up anyway. I hope you enjoyed this. This has sort of been me talking about reflex, obviously because it was on my mind, and I've literally just come back. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna be loading gameplays from reflex. I have only got a few because Torres kept hosting and doing free for alls, and I play publics in between games. It knocked some of them down in my recent games, and as a result, I've only got like the last three like series, so to speak. And yeah, I'll just try and upload as many of them where I feel like it's suitable. So thanks for watching. Bye.